Okay, it's time to look at Reddit again, because the response to this was quite good last time. So I've decided we're just going to do it once a week. Every Sunday. Why Sunday? Because I, like many people, reach peak laziness on Sunday. And these videos require almost zero effort to produce. So it only makes sense. So let's look at Reddit today. So first we're going to look at this Brigitte thing, because it has actual math on how much healing Brigitte's going to do. And I was surprised about how high her healing was. I was also surprised by how fucking high Moira's are. Also, this is ultimates are not considered. Moira's is fucking high. Like, I knew Moira did a lot of healing, but goddamn, it's more than double Anna's, who is the closest. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting because Brigitte's numbers are much higher than I thought they were. Granted, it's like theoretical math stuff, but, you know, whatever. So, let's see. Advice for support players. Is this a question? It is not. Too long didn't read. The backline of a team should play as one cohesive unit, and support should prioritize keeping each other alive. This is accurate information. Some tips on staying alive as Anna/Zen. I mean, basically, you stay way the fuck away from danger. If they have a really dive-heavy comp, you're gonna hope that you have somebody to hang out with, and that your team will actually help you, because if they have a really dive-heavy comp, Zenyatta and Anna gets fucked by those two, by dive comps. So, you basically hope that you've got someone around to help you. Like, if you've got a McCree, a Soldier, a Roadhog, an Orisa, try and hang out with them, and hope that they'll help keep you alive, basically. Similarly to how this says, you know, try and hang out with the other support, because if it's just like a Winston, he won't really kill, like, the two supports if they're helping each other. So, there's that. This is, of course, very dependent on whether or not your team actually wants to help you, which will vary greatly from game to game. There's also just, like, staying further back. Anna, in general, is going to have an easier time than Zenyatta, because Anna has cooldowns that will help keep her alive. Zenyatta's only real recourse is to kill the person that is trying to dive him. So, Anna, like, if you're getting, like, dove really heavily, and you're playing Anna, just try and, that's, like, a serious issue in the game. Just, like, try and keep, like, be more frugal with your cooldowns, and use them more for self-preservation. If you're just getting, like, hard dove constantly, just, like, throwing the grenade at your feet when the Genji and the Winston are on you can keep you alive, and then you trank one of them and run away. Anna at least has cooldowns that can help keep her alive. Zenyatta kind of is fairly beholden to his team, or he's probably going to end up having to, like, use his ultimate more frequently just to, like, keep himself alive more than anything else. Basically, it's like stick close to your team and hope they help you, and if not, well, you're probably going to have a pretty bad time. The best you can do is, like, stay further back, and if you're Anna, you can use your cooldowns, but Zenyatta's gonna have a hard time if they have, like, a really dive-heavy comp. If their team has, like, no presence of dive on it at all, just, like, stay further back. Like, if there's nothing that's gonna flank you on their team, if it's, like, Soldier, McCree's, Orisa, Reinhardt, just, like, sit further back so they can't hit you, basically. Anna and Zenyatta have very, very long effective ranges, so you can just be, like, outside of the enemy team's range, and there's not very much they can do about that if they aren't dive-heavy in some way. So, is it me or did I just go in the opposite direction? What does this mean? Season highs. I mean, doesn't look like it. At the end of Season 8, I tried to solo queue. Place around now. Oh, well, that's, I mean, going from in about 3 weeks is crushing on the soul. I mean, I did something similar. Over the course of a weekend, I dropped about 700 SR at one point, because I was just on this massive losing streak. It happens. Like, sometimes you just go on, like, really long losing streaks. You can go on really long winning streaks as well. It's just the way human beings are. We tend to remember negative experiences more, you know? It happens. It just, eventually, it stops happening. How I climbed from bronze to GM. Oh my god, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? I'm on an insane losing streak. How do you bounce back? So there's all the fucking hippie answers, right? Like, oh, take a break, go and take a walk for 30 minutes, do some fucking yoga. Realistically, what you do is you just sort of have to get through it. Because eventually it becomes more of like a mental thing than anything else, where like, if it's a really long losing streak, you just sort of go into a match expecting to lose, and then it ends up becoming like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Eventually, you're gonna win a game. And then that tends to be what breaks it, because then you're like, fuck, the cycle is broken. And then the mental block is somewhat relieved at that point. The real answer is, you just kinda have to muscle through the losing streak like they happen. And there's all these hippie answers to what will help. And they don't fucking help, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to just keep playing until you start winning again. And you will start winning again, eventually. It's gonna feel really bad, especially if it is a really long losing streak, but eventually the losing streak will end. And then it doesn't, like, losing streaks are fairly anomalous, right? Like, after the losing streak ends, you will probably even out to where you should be SR-wise fairly quickly afterwards. Like, it's not as terrible to lose SR as you think, because people, like, you're gonna go back up to where you should be relatively quickly. Like, it's quicker than you expect it to be. Especially if you're, like, below Diamond, because the Performance SR system is still in place below Diamond. So, if you're in fucking, like, Gold and you slip down to Silver, it doesn't matter, because, like, you'll probably be way better than the people in Silver, and you'll be able to climb back up relatively quickly. It's just that, yeah, it feels bad at the time, you just gotta kinda muscle through it, and eventually it does stop happening. And then it won't be so bad after that. Losing streaks suck. They happen. It's just a part of life. You just kind of have to muscle through them. Winning streaks also happen. It's just they stick out less in the mind. I started to use Lucio more correctly based off healing. My healing went up significantly. Is this due to me playing better or just the games I was in? I mean, if it's like over a large period of time, you probably did start playing better. If it's like a 2-game sample size, then it might have just been the games. But like, if you've played like fucking 20 games and the numbers are higher, well, yeah, you probably started playing better. Help dealing with snipers on capture point. From what perspective, exactly? I'm at a point capture match. The enemy team picks Hanzo and Widow, caps the first point, and my team has a nightmare of a time pushing through to the point. Any tips on dealing with them? Thank you. So, the enemy team caps the first point, and my team has a nightmare time pushing through to the point. I'm not really sure what perspective that means exactly. Whatever. I mean, the way that the sniper team works is they pick people off really quickly, one after the other. So, like, the answer is that you kind of stop getting picked off, but that doesn't sound very helpful. I mean, if you're good at Widow, you can change to Widow and try and kill him. But a more consistent answer is going to be, pick Winston or D.Va, try to dive them. Maybe if you try and get your team to maybe do something similar, try and get like a Winston and a D.Va, or maybe like and a Genji, or something like that. And you just try and like dive them. The other option is you pick Reinhardt, and you just hold the shield up. Because if they've got 2 snipers as their DPS, I'm going to assume they still have like a sensible composition, right? Like, I'll assume they've got it's 2-2-2, basically. Maybe it's like 3 DPS, whatever. If they've got 2 snipers, they aren't going to break your shield that quickly as Reinhardt, because the snipers don't break shields very well. So you pick Reinhardt, and you just hold the shield up, right? And but the thing is, then you do have to get your team to actually like huddle together with you for that to actually work. So that'll also depend on your team. But that's kind of the thing with this sniper thing, is that like if your team are getting picked off constantly, you have limited options to deal with that. The best thing you can do in that situation really is just pick like Winston or D.Va and just try to make the snipers' lives fucking hell so that they can't pick your team off. That's basically, like, what it amounts to. So, how to deal with low confidence in my gameplay, performance anxiety, and feeling intimidated by my opposition. Well, it's gonna kind of depend on, like, what you're anxious about, right? Because I had an anxiety thing in the past, and my issue was that I was afraid I was going to find out I'm less good than I think I am. And eventually I just kept playing, and that, like, stopped happening for me, right? Like, I just kind of get through that, and it just kind of stopped happening. If it's, I know some people get anxiety over, like, looking like an idiot in front of people, essentially. You know, disappointing their own team, looking like a fool in front of the enemy team, whatever. The thing is to remember there is just that you're probably never going to see that dude again in your life, right? Like, I have played a great many games of Overwatch, and unless you are very, very high SR, you will likely never meet the same people that frequently. I guess if you're in very, 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 very low SR as well, basically where the player pool is smaller, you might run into them again, but, like, you'll never see these people again, most likely. So, just kinda don't worry about it so much. Some people get anxiety over, like, using the voice chat because they've been told that they, have to, and they have, like, social anxiety, things like that. Just don't use the voice chat. Like, it's not actually a big deal. I've never in my life talked to human, well, I did. I gave up on that shit real fast. Fucking trash community that we have. I gave up on the voice chat ages ago, and I still got into Masters, never talking to any human beings. Like, it's not an issue. So if it's like a social anxiety thing with voice chat, just like don't join it, who cares, you'll be fine. If it's like looking foolish, just remember you'll never see these people again, probably. And if it's like you're afraid you're gonna find out you're not as good as you are, that probably won't actually happen, because that sort of implies that you already know you aren't perfect. So, you're probably not going to be as disappointed as you think you will be, right? And you just kind of play, and you figure out, I'm not that bad, right? Like, eventually it just kind of stops happening, at least in my experience. Your experience may vary. This is a general thing with anxiety in general, right? Is it always seems like it's gonna be worse than it actually is, right? Like, it's never as bad as you think it's gonna be. If you just, like, play for a little while, eventually you're gonna be like, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, right? Like, it's just sort of the initial doing it that'll be the difficult part. And then eventually you'll just sort of, like, be like, I thought it was gonna be worse than it actually is. That's how anxiety tends to work anyway. Your experience may vary. Will there ever be a time I will talk too much in voice chat? Yes, I have seen people who talk too much in the voice chat, and there have been people where my advice has been, you talk way too fucking much. The point is that you're meant to convey meaningful information in a short and concise manner, right? Like, call-outs and stuff like that. I have seen people who fucking count off what their fucking alt charge is and shit like that. Like, you can very easily start talking too much. I've seen people who just talk about, like, every little thing that crosses their mind when they're playing. You can definitely talk too much. What we're trying to communicate is, like, if you're trying to communicate with people, you're trying to call out people's locations, if you think somebody has their ultimate, if you think somebody's getting in position to use their ultimate, maybe try and, like, coordinate, like, switches and things like that, you know. The point is to convey meaningful information in a concise manner. So, don't fucking talk people's ear off about every little thing that crosses your mind, because at that point, you're just being a fucking clogged drain. Like, there's too much in there. You can definitely talk too much. Just try and communicate, like, ults, positions, things like that. If there's, like, a conversation to be had about switching or something like that, fair enough. But the point is basically to be concise and to the point. Tank positioning, thoughts and questions. Elaborate. Lately I've noticed a lot of insufficient healers. That's a very diplomatic way of putting it. But I've heard the statement that if you're a good tank, you won't need heals and that you should treat heals as a treat. Who has been telling you these lies? Maybe if you're Roadhog, or Zarya, I guess. No tank in history is gonna take 0 fucking damage. Like, you definitely do need to be healed. Now, granted, you can you can definitely make healing more difficult for people by playing stupidly, but no, you definitely do need heals if you're actually going to make any space as a tank, because that's the entire point of, like, playing a tank. And with pushing into people in general, especially, is like, when you're pushing into the enemy team, you trade health and shields for, better positioning, effectively. So, like, you definitely do need to be healed. Like, I don't know who's been peddling this nonsense, but, like, you definitely do need to be healed. Maybe if you're Roadhog, but, like, doesn't matter how good you are, you're probably gonna need to be healed. Like, that is definitely not the right way to think about it. How do I efficiently position myself in the front line and still live when we have bad heals? I mean, like, it's gonna be an issue. Basically, you play way more passively. And, like, probably overly passively, because, like, if your healers just, like, can't keep up for one reason or another, like, you got the fucking DPS Ana or some shit, right? Like, you're just gonna have to play way conservatively. And, like, if you play Reinhardt, it's gonna involve a lot of holding the shield up. If you play Orisa, it's gonna be a lot of very slowly inching your way forward. If it's Roadhog, it's gonna be positioning really passively in case, like, if your healers are bad, you're gonna have issues, because you're just basically gonna have to play more passively as a result. I am finding cover behind payloads when low, peeling every time someone is harassing our heals and still creating plays. I mean, yeah, like, I mean, this is the thing, yeah, Elo Hell doesn't exist, right? But if you run into, like, a fucking Ana who thinks Ana's a DPS hero, right? Or your healers are just constantly dead during that game and you're still trying to help them, like, it is possible to make no mistakes and still lose. It's important to remember. The entire point of climbing is that it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? Over an extended period of time, you will even out to where you should be, right? Like, you will climb to what your actual SR is. The problem is that people don't think about it that way. They want to climb really quickly. That's not how it works, because there are some games that you're just not meant to win. Like, there are some games where you all you can do is do your best, and in some situations your best is just not going to be enough, right? It's like the 40-20-40 rule, the 33-33-33 rule, whatever deviation you've heard of it. It's just like, you're gonna win 40% of your games through no fault of your own, because your team are gonna play really well. Someone on your team is gonna do really well. The enemy team is gonna play really badly. Someone's gonna leave on their team. They're gonna have a troll, whatever. It's gonna just happen. Similarly, 40% of your games you're gonna lose for the exact same reason. You're just on the receiving end of it this time. And then the remaining 20% of the games are the ones where you can feasibly affect the outcome of the game. Like, you won't win every game. So, like, all you can do is, like, yeah, you can, like, find cover, peel for your team, and try to create space and stuff like that. You can play passively if your healers are bad and things like that, but, like, sometimes you're still gonna lose. The entire point is just that if you play consistently well, you will climb over time. Climbing's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And the thing is, people get, like, really, fucked up views on this kind of thing as well, because they see, like, fucking Taimu and Seagull play on, like, a Smurf or something, and they fucking skyrocket up in SR, because of course they fucking do. They're pro players. Most people are not gonna be that way. Like, it's gonna take you a while to climb. That's just how all competitive games are. So, like, you know, if your healers are bad, play passively. But, like, if your healers are really bad, you're gonna have a lot of trouble being an effective tank, because you do definitely need to be healed. Like, you shouldn't see heals as being a treat. Like, no. Like, if your healers are really bad, you're gonna have a lot of trouble being an effective tank. All you can do is try and do your best, and, like, it'll work out in the end. Team comp differences between attack and defense, is there really a question in here? And which tanks you think work better on each side of the map if there isn't too much difference? Well, support-wise, Zenyatta works well on both sides of the map, but I think he's better at defending, because the attacking, Zenyatta's Transcendence is a very powerful defensive ultimate, and it just completely cancels out ultimates like Graviton, Dragonblade, Tac Visor, Barrage. you know, the ultimates that very commonly break through a defense, Zenyatta's very good at just completely stopping them. So Zenyatta's, like, better at defending than he is attacking. He's still good at attacking, don't get me wrong, Discord Orb's really good. But, like, his ultimate is naturally very defensive, so he benefits defending. Similarly, Moira's ultimate has, like, a dual effect, like it's defensive and offensive, but it's much weaker defensive than like Zenyatta's is. Moira is better at attacking than she is defending, because the damage orbs are good at applying pressure and helping to make picks happen, which the attacking team is typically looking for more actively. And Coalescence isn't as good defensively, but it has a dual offensive and defensive point, so you can use it similarly to a sound barrier, where you use it like right at the start of the fight. It has this aggressive component, so the enemy team are taking damage from it, and the healing is still big, right? It's 140 health per second, so your team can still go in off of the Coalescence, and you can use it like a sound barrier effect. So it's better at like attacking than it is defending, because it won't completely like stop a Graviton, like Transcendence will. Lucio's better at attacking. The attacking team is typically the one that's trying to get in position more quickly, though not to imply the defending team doesn't do that if they're reacting, but the attacking team, the speed boost helps get into position quicker. Sound barrier is a finite amount of shielding, like it degrades very quickly, so it's better for like sound barrier right before you go in, speed boost in, use it to like buffer as you go in, and then get in position really quickly off the speed boost and like dive on people, right? So, like, Zenyatta's better at defending than attacking. Lucio and Moira are better at attacking than they are defending. And Mercy and Ana lie somewhere in between. Ana's probably, like, a little bit better at attacking than she is defending, but it's, like, a pretty minimal difference overall. Not to imply that there's any, like, one support just flatly can't operate on one side of the map, right? Like, they all, or one tank, like, they both work on both sides, but they do have preferences. Tank-wise, Winston's obviously better at attacking than he is defending. Diva's like Diva is kind of the same on both sides, but she's a little bit better at attacking than she is defending, because she does still have like a dive side to it. Though also defending, she can like, dive on out of position attackers and kill them very quickly, things like that. Reinhardt and Orisa are kind of the same. She's like, Orisa's a little better at defending than attacking, but they're kind of the same on both sides of the map. Zarya is much better at attacking than she is defending. It is easier to get a big Graviton on the defenders, because they tend to be more closely huddled together than attackers are. Attackers tend to be very spread out. They also tend to be playing heroes that are more spread out, like Genji and Pharah, or like more common attackers than defenders, right? So Zarya is better at attacking than she is defending, though she's still good on both sides of the map. Roadhog is better defensively than offensively, because Whole Hog is a very good defensive ultimate. It basically stops an engagement, right? And he's very good at, like, peeling for the backline and protecting them with the hook and, like, stopping certain engages with his ultimate. So Roadhog's better at defending than attacking. Yeah, that's kind of it. So, I think I've seen that Reinhardt is better suited to attacking the objective than defending. I don't really agree with that. I think he's kind of the same on both sides of the map. I get, it's a similar, like, argument to why Zarya is better at attacking, right? You'll get varying answers on this depending on who you ask, but for my money, better defensive supports are Zenyatta. Zenyatta's better defensively. And then better attacking supports are Moira and Lucio. Ana and Mercy are, like, pretty in between. We'll see with Brigitte. It's a little early to say. And attacking tanks, Winston, Zarya, and everyone else is like a little bit the same, though Diva slants more towards attacking. You'll get varying answers depending on who you ask, but that's kind of my opinion on it. DPS is a way too varied question. I will be here forever. Can't seem to break out of my rank. Is there a question in here? No, it's a video. Never mind. Am I playing Pharah right? How are you playing Pharah? So I must be doing something right unless I'm getting carried. Well, if you're winning consistently, you're probably not getting carried. Most of the time, I'm putting pressure on the DPS and healers if they have a sort of, yeah, it sounds like you're playing Pharah. But I don't feel like I'm getting a ton of kills every game. Yeah, some games, not always. I mean, that's how it is. Like, you're never gonna have gold kills and fucking gold damage every single game you play. Like, it's like if they are distracted. I mean, like, you're a human fucking being, right? Like, some games you play are gonna be really fucking good, and some are gonna be really fucking bad, and like a lot are just gonna be in between, right? Like, your results are gonna vary. If you're winning consistently, you are probably playing correctly, yes. This is why I don't really worry about many stats, because stats fluctuate so very highly. The only one I think worth tracking is deaths, because if you have less deaths, you just have had you have objectively had a bigger influence on the game, because you've been alive longer, and therefore you've been in the game longer to be able to affect it more. That's the only stat that I think is really worth tracking. And even that one does fluctuate between games, right? Like, stats are that way. They do fluctuate. As long as you're doing consistently well, you're doing fine. Route 66, after capping first point, why do League players only have one hero on the payload? I don't watch enough Overwatch League to really comment. Gold Tracer main looking for help. So I recently see what I'm doing wrong. Before I thought that my aim is just bad and I need to train more, but looking at my other stats, I realized that my accuracy and critical hits are not even that bad. I mean, I don't really want to look at your stats, like, on a video, so I'm just gonna, like, pull them over here and look at them. So, sorry, I know, fucking fascinating right here, isn't it? Deaths are really fucking high. Like, those deaths are very fucking high. Yeah, the accuracy's not bad. Eliminations to death ratio is still, like, okay. Yeah, the thing that I mean, damage is kind of low, but, like, deaths are really fucking high. Deaths are really important to keep low, because, like, alright, the damage is low here as well. I see that as being related to the fact that deaths are really high. I also see that self-healing is really low, so it sounds like recall isn't getting used super well. Yeah, like, deaths are really high. Stay alive more. Not dying is important. Everything tends to come as a consequence of not dying, because you're just alive more, right? It looks like deaths are the big issue. Die less. How to deal with High Noon as a Ryan with low shield. Mini VoD. 30-second VoD. Again, I don't want to watch someone's video on, like, without asking them if it's okay to show the video, so I'm going to take the video over here and look at it. It's 20 seconds, it's not even 30 seconds. I think I know roughly what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, this is, like, bad shield management. This is, like, a shield management thing, more than it is with, like, a High Noon with Deadeye thing. But, like, even in this, so basically what happens is, it's the third point on Route 66, and the person's kind of just, like, standing around, holding the shield up for not too much reason at the time. It's taking a bunch of damage. Then McCree comes out and uses Deadeye, while, just kind of, the thing, it's, like, right next to the boxes in the truck. Like, you could probably just inch over to the boxes and get out of the way in this situation anyway, but this is more of a shield management issue than it is with a Deadeye issue. And this is the thing, with this, is, like, if you're in a position where your shield is really low and suddenly you're having to block Deadeye, the best you can do is just try and get out of line of sight of Deadeye very quickly. And sometimes that's not going to be possible, depending on what's happening. So the only logical thing then is to just go back and be like, well, how could I have not been in that situation to begin with? And the answer is basically going to always be, well, you could have managed your shield better, or you could have positioned better. Like, that's not so much like a shield Deadeye thing, it's more of a shield management thing at the end of the day. Oh, look, shut your yap in voice chat. Yeah, look, that's exactly what we were talking about a minute ago. Fucking nailed it. Good job. Yeah. Basically that. Don't do that. So, questions about hardware. I'm currently in Kuwait. Whoa. And all I have with me is my laptop and a cheap mouse. Would it be worth it? It's still worth it. Like, it doesn't, like, the hardware doesn't matter that much. It's the player. It's not the stuff you're playing on. Like, this is, I have a shitty mouse. This is like a $10 Chinese knockoff mouse. It's fine. Like, it doesn't matter. like, my keyboard, the I key didn't fucking work when I opened the box, right? Like, so what do you do with the I key? Oh, well, you see I rebound I to be on caps lock? It's very fucking stupid, I know. Like, it doesn't matter. If you are good at the game, you'll be good at the game, and like, alright, if you suddenly start using a different mouse, there's gonna be an adjustment period, because it'll, like, feel different, but like, the things that'll really help you climb are, like, hardware independent, because it's, like, positioning and stuff like that, just, like, carries across. Tips to carry as Lucio. I'm not qualified enough to really answer that question very well. Is there an agreed-upon etiquette for flexing in solo queue comp? Like, wait until everyone's picked? I don't know where you're at. It was... When I play, given the... When my team insta-locks 4 to 5 DPS, I don't know what to do. Oh, okay. Should I stick to my guns, play far, and have a bad team comp? I mean, like, you're always gonna have a bad team comp in that situation. Here's what you do. If they pick 4 to 5 DPS, you pick a support. Like, you have to pick a healer at that point. I've seen teams win without a tank plenty of times. I've never seen a team win that didn't have a healer on it. If they pick 4 to 5 DPS, just pick a healer. Just, like, pick a healer. And I do mean a main healer. Don't pick Zenyatta or Lucio. Pick a main healer if you're the only healer. And just do your best to keep all of the scattered children alive, right? And you'll be surprised how often that actually ends up working. Like, if they pick 4 to 5 DPS, just pick a healer. You can win without a tank. You can't win without a healer. It's just not feasible. So just pick a healer. Yeah, alright, stick to your guns, pick far, whatever. Yeah, you're gonna lose. You don't have a healer. Like, you do need a healer. Like, it's the one mandatory component of the team comp. How do you change an impulsive/aggressive playstyle? I mean, like, it's not gonna sound helpful, but you just stop being impulsive and aggressive. Like, you just have to, like, constantly tell yourself while you're playing, no, chill, stop, calm down. Like, it's a lot of fucking effort to do that, right? Like, because fundamentally, you're kind of like trying to change part of who you are, right? Like, you just have to work very hard of it, be very cognizant of the fact that you are impulsive and aggressive, and just do your best to keep yourself in check. Like, it doesn't sound helpful, but that's just what you kind of have to do, right? Like, maybe you try and change so that you play more aggressive heroes, because that sort of suits who you are a little bit more, but like, if it's still like way in excess, you just like have to be really conscious of what you're doing, and like just like tell yourself, don't do it. Don't push the shift key. I know the shift key feels real good to push, but don't push the shift key. Like, that's just one of those things that's really hard, right? Like, it's one of those, like, how do I get good at aiming with Widowmaker? Just have to play a lot of fucking Widowmaker. Like, there's no quick, easy answer to that question. Like, you just have to work at it, and eventually you get better. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Hard stuck, doing something wrong, or just unlucky. We kind of talked about that one already. Like, is there kind of more of a... So my question is, do I belong in mid-plat or lower plat? Am I unlucky? Hard stuck? Is it deserved? I mean, like, you'll end up where you are. You'll end up where you're meant to be, and then it's just about, like, climbing up from that point, which is, like, an arduous process, you know? Like, you'll end up where you are, and eventually, like, you'll plateau, sort of. And then, like, just because you plateau doesn't mean you'll never climb, right? Like, you just have to be conscious of where your issues are, and that you're trying to improve. And, like, it's fucking hard to climb above where you deserve to be. That's the entire point, isn't it? It's not meant to be easy. If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. You have to just, like, put in a lot of effort, and eventually you will climb. It's just how it is. Volskaya Industry, I swear this map is my kryptonite. I understand. Let's see. I struggle with all 3 characters on this map, but I'm more concerned with finding help for Anna and Zen, since those are the ones I play the most. I mean, it's a very vague question. It's like a very vague thing. Like, you know, it's like, Yeah, just like keep trying to do all of what you're doing right there. Like this is not. It doesn't really point out any particular issues that you have with Volskaya, other than that you have trouble on Volskaya. Like they need more information really to do anything. Need help playing tank. I mostly play Tracer, Moira, and Ana, but I cannot play tank at all. Can anyone tell me who to play and how to play them? Someone suggested that. I mean, based off that, Tracer, Moira, and Ana, it sounds like you generally favor more aggressive heroes because Tracer and Moira are two aggressive heroes. So probably like D.Va, Winston, you know, because since those are the naturally aggressive tanks. You know, if you're trying to branch out into another role in general, like think about who you play in that role, and then try to find like ones in the other role that kind of line up with that, right? Like, if you play Soldier and you're looking to play a support, you'll probably be more inclined to play like Zenyatta or Ana, because those are two support heroes that are more aim reliant than the other ones, which has the carryover that you were already playing an aim reliant hero, and they are predominantly about positioning and cooldown use in Ana's case as well. So you'll naturally find that to be more akin to what you've already been doing, so it'll be less difficult to transition into learning how to play them. If you play like Reaper and you're looking to play a tank, then like someone like Roadhog or D.Va will favor you more, because they're more execution driven tanks, and they are about positioning and seizing opportunities, which is what Reaper is also about. So you'll naturally find that you transition more into those more easily. So it's kind of just about thinking about who you play and who you enjoy playing and who you think you're good at, and then finding the heroes in the adjacent role that you're trying to play that are most similar to that, and you will find that it is a less difficult transition period. Like, you're still fundamentally changing your job, right? Like, if you are a DPS and you play a tank, you are now more focused on creating space and protecting your team than doing damage. Like, you are making a very fundamentally big shift. So it's probably going to be difficult, but if you want to make it as easy as possible, try and find the ones that are similar to what you already do, and it will be less difficult. What are good heroes for a noob to try? Well, if you have previous FPS experience, someone like Soldier or McCree is probably going to be the best ones to start with, because those are the most, like, boring heroes, you know, they're the most, like, average FPS type heroes. If you have, like, no prior, like, FPS experience at all, you're probably better off picking someone who doesn't have to rely on aim that much, at least to begin with, even if you want to play the more aim-reliant heroes, because you'll just need to get more comfortable operating in, like, an FPS environment, right? So playing someone who is, like, easier mechanically will be better, because you can just get used to, like, how to move in the space, because being comfortable moving around the environment and controlling your character is a very important aspect of any competitive video game. So if you have, like, no FPS experience at all, you'll want to pick someone easier mechanically, like any of the supports, really, except for, like, Moira and Ana. Maybe even Soldier, because, like, this is machine gun, right? But, like, Junkrat, very easy hero. Pharah, pretty easy, like, aim-wise. There's, like, the extra plane of existence that might be an issue if you have, like, no FPS experience, but Winston, D.Va, easier heroes mechanically, sort of get you used to navigating the space, you know? So it's going to kind of depend on, like, whether or not you've played an FPS before. Because if you haven't, you need to get comfortable moving in an FPS environment before you can really get better at anything else. So you want to pick an easier mechanical hero. If you have played an FPS before, you'll probably want to play like Soldier or McCree. If you played something like TF2, you might find you're more comfortable playing like Pharah, because she operates fairly similarly to the Soldier from TF2. Obviously not like 1-to-1, because rocket jumping doesn't exist in Overwatch, but it did in TF2, or does in TF2. I say, like, TF2 doesn't exist anymore. So, like, if you have, like, previous experience, like, Soldier, McCree, maybe Ana, Zenyatta, If you have no FPS experience, then it'll be like easier mechanical heroes. You need to get comfortable moving in the space. Then you can get better at the other heroes. I have no clue what Visor GG does. I don't have that. It's not for me. If you lose 50% or more of your competitive games, assume that it's you that's the problem. It almost certainly is. Good support streamers. Is this a question? Yes, it is. Who... I know Mercy, the really good one is EVA. That's EV like the Pokemon EV, and then an A at the end of it is like the Mercy streamer. Fuck, who plays the other supports? I know how I can find out. Let's go over here, because there was the one Reddit thread a while ago. What? Streamers. Yeah, this one. List of streamers for new players. This one over here. So let's look. So support specifically Anna. Ah yes, this is the one I watched. Ryu Jae Hong. I don't know how you pronounce this Moon Rune language. Very strange. That's the one I watched. I've attempted to do research previously, but like I don't really remember who like many of the EVA, there's the guy. I don't remember many of them offhand. I didn't watch any of these people, so yeah, one of them probably. EVA is like definitely the one to watch for Mercy. Moira was new at the time, so these are likely not accurate. Brigitte doesn't exist yet, so no. Sure, definitely. If you count Symmetra as being a support. Yes, I remember watching Blinky. I assume that was for Zenyatta. Yeah, these people. There you go. It's like a whole thing for all the heroes. If you just type streamers, or like Overwatch streamers into Overwatch Universal, you'll get the thread I found. It's like one of the top ones. Who are the best heroes to counter D.Va? Well, if you're talking about killing D.Va, Reaper and McCree are the two best you can do, because Reaper counters tanks. D.Va's the one he's gonna struggle to kill the most on average, but he still kills D.Va. The difficulty is killing baby D.Va after you kill the mech. McCree is good against D.Va because her head is really fucking big in mech, and Flashbang kills baby D.Va. No problem. If the issue is that D.Va's killing other people, basically it's like any of the tanks can try and help keep them alive. Well, that's very reductive of me to say. Like Reinhardt isn't really going to be able to help that much. Especially if they're bothering high ground people. Like Zarya, bubble the person who's getting dove. Another D.Va, you can just like, follow the D.Va around and like, help the person that she dives on. Winston, you can do something similar. Roadhog is not very good against D.Va because, like, D.Va makes it difficult for you to kill other people. But if the issue is specifically that D.Va is killing a lot of people on your team, you can hook the person that, you can hook D.Va when she dives someone, and that will keep the person she dove alive. So if that is the specific reason D.Va's being an issue, Roadhog will work, but Roadhog is traditionally not very good against D.Va because D.Va makes it hard for Roadhog to kill other people. But if the issue is D.Va's killing my team, Roadhog can help with that as well, because you just hook him off the person. Stick around, post-game and chat, explain what you... Do not do this. Don't do that. This person has had an anomalous result. Do not do that. They haven't had an outlier. You shouldn't do it. From diamond to gold, can't escape. Oh, Jesus. Any advice on how to stop making people... Any advice on how to stop make people tilting, or stop them being a grandmaster trapped in a gold body? I'm the wrong person to ask about that. I'll have to fight. As soon as shit starts, I'll like wade in, neck deep in it, like let's go. How do I die less often? It's such a broad question. Like, it's just... As Moira, fucking don't fade aggressively, basically, is probably the main issue, and, like, play further back. Because, like, the main issue Moira players have with dying is they fade too aggressively and get killed, or they're just standing too far forward for where they need to be. Moira's a pretty long-range hero, 20-meter right-click, fucking long, right? Like, you can be far back. But, like, such a broad question. I just... probably fade less and position better. If you're like Moira, how to not die is very broad. Trying to learn join a quick play game and tell people that, quick play is a waste of fucking time. Like, quick play gives you no valuable information on how to play the game because quick play games are so far removed from what you will see in competitive. Like, you can't even move within the space the same way because both teams are going to be Widowmaker, Hanzo, Mei. Like, you gain no useful information out of it. My advice is just play competitive because it's the only place that it's worth doing it in, really. If you're playing a mechanically driven hero, people say playing deathmatch is good because you can just kind of practice your mechanics and it's like devoid of like having a team to weigh on or anything like that. But like really playing quick play is almost entirely pointless for learning a hero. People tell you, play quick play. It's such a waste of time. The games that happen in quick play are nothing like the games that happen in competitive. Like, there is no translation, really. If it's a mechanical hero, okay, play deathmatch, you can practice your mechanics. But really, just like play competitive. Like, yeah, you're gonna lose SR because you're learning to play a new hero. But like, quick play is such a waste of time. Like, you don't learn anything in there. That's just how it is. I am sorry. Role distribution, but this is not, get out of my face. Aim is worse on home PC. Compared to something else, your settings are probably not exactly the same. I do not have the This is too nitty-gritty. They almost certainly don't operate exactly the same. So, like, there's gonna be an adjustment. Frames dropping, not sure why. This is too nitty-gritty for me. Tips for Lucio? I'm not qualified enough at Lucio to say. Tips for Discord targets in a 6-stack? It's just gonna be kind of the same as anyway. It's just like whoever the most important target is, which is always like person who is out of position, support, DPS, tank. Well, some people will say tank is higher than that because Discord makes a tank really squishy, but I would rather make a DPS who is already squishy even squishier. You know, that's just how I am. Some people will say that tank is above DPS because the Discord is like strong, but I'd rather kill a DPS than kill a tank, usually. It's just how I am, but that'll vary a little bit, but like, it's kind of the same. How to be good at Winston? Is there really a question in here? No, not really. Is there any point in playing Winston anymore? You seem upset. Comfortable with all tanks except Zarya? That's exactly how I am. And lately I've been feeling like Winston just isn't an optimal pick. Mostly because of how good the... Yeah, like I've noticed that Winston isn't as good as he was because, Mercy getting nerfed has kind of had a similar impact to what I expected it to, which was I expected the game to slow down a lot more because she can't just suddenly undo picks. And like if the team that's trying to be aggressive loses 2 people going in, Mercy could fix that. But now she can't fix that. So if you lose people going in, which is when you're most likely to lose them, there's nothing to do about that. So I sort of expected that being the way it was, and people just also have gotten used to having like their mistakes erased. I expected the game to slow down a lot more, and it hasn't slowed down as much as I expected it to. Bridget might slow it down even more, but it's kind of slowed down. And Winston isn't very good against the slow heroes, really, right? Like, Winston's good at killing people like the snipers and supports and like McCree and Soldier and things like that. The thing is, though, if the team is playing like a very slow comp, they tend to be very close together, and it's hard to, like, find there are less of the people that is good for Winston to bully, and some of them are also just, like, closer to their team, because their team is a slower composition. This is what I expected the Nursey nerf to do, and it has kind of gone that way. Bridget might slow it down even more, because she seems to be very anti-dive, right? Like, she is good at keeping people alive, so it might slow down even more. So Winston's gonna struggle someone, in fact, just like a couple hours ago, someone was asking me, like, what to do if my own team is playing really passively. Like, yeah, it's Winston is like, I don't think he's unplayable. Like, it's just there's gonna be less opportunities for you to take advantage of, and you're gonna have to play, like, a little bit more patiently and passively and wait for opportunities. And there will be less situations in which Winston is good. Winston is this way where, like, he's a hero that is very good at what he's designed to do, but what he's designed to do is quite narrowly defined, right? Like, he's very good at a very specific thing, but he's not that good at much else. So there will be less situations in which Winston is, like, really a sensible pick, right? So you'll have to switch off Winston more frequently now, probably. And when you're playing Winston, it's going to be kind of harder because there'll just be less opportunities. You'll basically just have to be more patient and more passive in situations. I don't think he's unplayable, no, but it's definitely gotten harder, and you'll need to be more patient and opportunistic in a lot of situations, and probably be more willing to switch off of Winston in situations that are just, like, not feasible for him to get much done. Because Winston's that way where there are certain things that he just can't deal with, really. So, we have gone through 2 pages of Reddit, and that's a pretty fucking long video, it looks like, so great job, team. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, I'm more than happy to answer. Join our Discord. If you haven't already, you can ask questions more directly and have, like, a conversation about them more easily, and I hope you found the video helpful.